Time for convening having arrived. The Senate will come to order. Would ask that unauthorized visitors would exit the chamber at this time. The Senate will come to order. The chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 53rd.
Good morning, Mr. President. It's a glorious day at our state capitol, even though the weather is a little bad, because the men and women of the Senate is ready to do business for the people of Georgia. The journal has been read and found to be correct.
Thank you, Senator, for your good works on the journal. Is there objection dispensing with the reading of the journal? The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators having bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading in reference of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 318 by Senators Rudd of the 33rd, Unterman of the 45th, Burker of the 11th, and others. The bill be titled and acted in Title
Health
37.
and Human Services.
Senate Bill 320 by Senator Henson of the 41st, Tate of the 38th, O'Rourke of the 36th, and others. The bill be titled and acted in Chapter 2 of Title 1
Ethics.
Senate Bill 321 by Senators Taylor of the 19th, Stone of the 23rd, Moles of the 53rd.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 322 by Senator James of the 35th.
Public Safety.
Mr. President, that concludes the order.
Reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Judiciary Committee has had under consideration the following legislation and instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 159 do pass by substitute, submitted by Senator Stone of the 23rd. That concludes the order.
Time for the morning roll call. Time for the morning roll call. Are there motions to excuse? Chair recognizes the distinguished minority leader, the senator from the 41st.
Mr. President, I move to excuse the senator 38th for business outside the Capitol.
38th, without objection, senator from the 38th will be excused. Chair now recognizes the senator from the 11th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consent to excuse the senator from the 9th.
From the 9th, without objection, senator from the 9th will be excused. Tell you what, let's do. There's quite a number, it seems, that is seeking to be excused. So we'll take a senator from the 7th. To move his motion to move that we suspend roll call.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to suspend the roll call.
For roll call, is there objection? Without objection, the morning roll call will be suspended. And it is now time for our morning devotion. Time for our morning devotion. Would ask that all senators please take your seats and cease all audible conversation at this time. Time for our morning devotion. It is now my distinct honor to call upon the distinguished senator from Albany, the senator from the 12th, to lead us in our pledge and introduce our chaplain of the day. Senator.
Thank you. Good morning. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Thank you, Governor. Colleagues, it is indeed my pleasure and an honor to introduce our chaplain of the day, an ordained minister of the Baptist faith and the Chief Judge of the Superior Court of Dougherty County, Reverend Judge Willie E. Lockett. Not only do I introduce a man of God, but an individual and a surrogate family, the Locketts, that existed for my daughter and me after the sudden death of my husband, my first husband, many years ago. For over 40 years, his and Helen's family, his wife, have been my family, and for their friendship and prayers, we are grateful. After leaving the cotton and tobacco fields of Cordele, Georgia, Judge Lockett's collegiate path led him to Fort Valley State University, where he quickly distinguished himself among scholars. Upon completion of Fort Valley State University, Judge Lockett was accepted into the University of Illinois College of Law and completed again with high honors. For many years, Judge Lockett was the managing attorney of the Albany Office of Georgia Legal Services Program, Associate Judge and Chief Judge of Magistrate Court of Dougherty County, Judge of State Court of Dougherty County, and presently Chief Judge of the Superior Court of Dougherty County. Over the years, Judge Lockett has amassed numerous awards and certificates and honors, but of all the honors in his possession, he holds closest to his heart the title of husband to my dear friend Helen Lockett, father to Earl Jr., Patrina, Nicole, and Yolanda, grandfather of 12, one of those grandchildren being Ricardo Lockett, former Seattle Seahawks player, and great-grandfather of 4. I introduce to you Reverend Judge Willie E. Lockett.
Good morning. Thank you very much for those words of introduction to the President of the Senate, President Pro Tem, Majority and Minority Leaders, and to Secretary Cook, and to each and every one of you. It is really a joy to be with you this morning. In the brief moments that I have with you, I want to share with you a word about compassion. A lawyer once asked Jesus how to gain eternal life. When he read the law, he concluded, it's very simple. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, strength, and mind, and love thy neighbor as thyself. Jesus said, that's the right answer. Do that, and you will live. But then the lawyer was not content, as most lawyers are. So he asked another question. Who is my neighbor? Rather than answer him directly, Jesus told him a story. He said, there was a certain man traveling to Jericho who fell among thieves. They stripped him, wounded him, and left him half dead. A priest first and then a Levite came by. But when they saw him in his injured condition, they passed by on the other side. But there was a Samaritan who came along, and he also saw the man, but he stopped and had compassion on him. He bound up his wounds, set him on his own beast, took him to an inn, and cared for him throughout the night. The next morning, he gave the innkeeper some money and said, take care of him. And if it costs more than this, let me know when I come back, and I will pay it. Jesus then turned to the lawyer and said, which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to this man? The lawyer said, the one who showed him mercy. Jesus said, that's the right answer. Go and do the same. The Samaritan could have said, it ain't my problem, and kept along his merry way. But compassion compelled him to do all that he could to relieve the poor man's suffering. And brothers and sisters, if we are to be good neighbors, we too must show compassion, because compassion is the right answer. The right answer to violence is peace. The right answer to arrogance is humility. The right answer to prejudice is tolerance. The right answer to secrecy is transparency. The right answer to rivalry is cooperation. The right answer to chaos is reason. The right answer to tension is calmness. The right answer to contention is harmony. The right answer to despair is hope. The right answer to sin is righteousness. The right answer to selfishness is generosity. The right answer to evil is good. The right answer to hatred is love. And I dare say to you, the right answer to indifference is compassion. Let us pray. O God, our help in ages past, and our hope for years to come, grant us hearts that cry for those who are wounded and left on the side of the road. Give us hands that lift them up and bandage their hurts. Give us feet that carry them to a safe place. Grant us resources that provide for the needy. Teach us to be true neighbors to everyone in trouble and distress, and to imitate you. Teach us to look beyond creed and respond to need. Teach us to look beyond position and focus on condition. Teach us to look past race and give grace, to look beyond birth and to concentrate on worth. Please open our eyes that we may see you in all our brothers and sisters. Open our ears that we may hear the cries of the hungry, the homeless, the cold, the frightened, and the oppressed. But most of all, please open our hearts that we may love each other as you love us. Renew your spirit in us, free us, and make us one. These things we ask in your matchless and magnificent name. Amen. Amen. Thank you again for this wonderful privilege. I know there is much work for you to do. Be encouraged by the words of a song written by Johnson Oatman Jr. that is called Higher Ground. Keep pressing on that upward way. New heights you'll gain every day. Keep praying as you're onward bound. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's tableland. A higher plane I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. God bless you. God keep you. That is my prayer.
Hey, Senator. What you doing, man? I'm good. How about you? Hey, you know. Are there any unanimous consents? Any senator wishing to rise on a point of personal privilege? We have a consent. Oh, all right, Senator from the 27th, are you wishing to be recognized? You're recognized this time.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. As many of you know, my oldest son, Ammon, had an accident about 2.5 years ago. He was in a coma for 9 days, laying on death's bed. They had to remove both sides of his skull to allow the brain to expand. And for the past 2.5 years, he's been fighting that, trying to overcome that accident. And this past Tuesday, he had what we hope is his last and final surgery to put the right side of his skull back on his head. And I want to thank all of y'all, including the President. Thank you for the prayers that you have offered for my family. I know without a doubt that they have been heard, and my son is a walking miracle. And I just cannot thank you enough from the bottom of my heart how much that means to me. And whenever I leave this chamber and I'm just Michael Williams, if anybody ever needs anything, please feel free to reach out to me because I will be there for you. And I appreciate your prayers again. And with that, Mr. President, I will leave the well.
Thank you, Senator. Very, very, very thankful. Very thankful. Chair recognizes Senator from the 45th. Let me just remind everyone, we do have the State of the State address today that begins at, we'll need to be in the back of the chamber at 10:45. So we also have an adjournment resolution by which we need to get passed as well. So we don't have a lot of time. Senator from the 45th is recognized for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know time is limited, but I do have a very important subject matter to talk about. And first of all, welcome back, and it's so great to be back together. And I appreciate the senator from the 27th talking about his son. We were all there, and we were in the emergency room and in the intensive care unit, and we're so glad that he is feeling better. And I know the president was there too, and he appreciates that too. So with that, I wanted to bring forward today and talk about today is Substance Abuse and Addiction Day here on Capitol Hill. And I know there's many people in the gallery, there's many people in the hall, and they are lobbying for substance abuse and prevention here in the state of Georgia. And as every senator knows, we are in the midst of an opioid epidemic. And I really don't like to call it opioid specific because after all, alcohol is also one of the most abused substances and one of the social ills, not just of 10 million Georgians, but across the United States. So we're delighted to have those folks here. And as you know, I have been in your district. The president, the lieutenant governor has been in your district talking about the issue of substance abuse. We've traveled the state of Georgia, and I wanted to just highlight just a couple of things that we have brought forward. We do have Southwest Georgia today here in Albany, Georgia, and lo and behold, Albany is where we have been talking about the epidemic. We were with the senator's wife who works for the Department of Public Health, the 11th district in Albany. We've been down in Albany about 4 times. We've had drug forums down there. And one of the most important things, the senator from Albany, from the 12th district, is very proud of a recovery center and an employment center in Albany called the Bread House. And I encourage you, if you don't know about the Bread House, to look it up on a website. It is phenomenal for people that are in recovery. The other location is in Marietta, Georgia, in Cobb County, and it's called The Zone. And all these senators are shaking their head because they know about these recovery centers. And that is one of the recovery centers that we would like to replicate across the district in your across the state in your district because it's such a successful program. So we're glad to have Daryl Sabbs here from Phoebe Putney. He has been helping me in Southwest Georgia. He's from the hospital down there. And one of the key components that has been working on this is Jim Langford. He is with the Prevention Project. If you don't know him, he published the first white paper. He's published the second white paper. And that is the paper and the model that we're using to work on our bill that will be coming out on January 27th. Hopefully. Last of all, when we talk about addiction, we talk about hope. And that is what we want, hope and recovery. And when you meet the moms and dads that unfortunately their children have passed away from addiction and overdose, you understand how important this epidemic is and how rapidly it's increasing. I personally would like to thank the Lieutenant Governor, the President of the Senate. He has seen the personal effects of this, unfortunately, in his own immediate family. He understands the importance of it. He has been talking about it statewide, and unfortunately, that's what we need to do. So I look forward to working with each and every one of you because I know it affects your district in particular. I look forward to working with you on this particular bill that will be coming through the Health and Human Services. Thank you very much, and I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for your wonderful work on this particular issue. You have been a strong leader in fighting for the solutions and looking for to combat this huge epidemic across our state. As has been mentioned, the estimates are over 180,000 Georgians that are struggling with opioid addiction, not to mention the number of deaths of over 1,400 that we've experienced as well. So I look forward to uniting with you along with the members of this chamber to continue our pursuit in bringing meaningful solutions to this important issue. So thank you. Chair recognizes Senator from the 46th, or excuse me, Secretary will read an announcement. Not an announcement, but a resolution. This adjournment resolution, we need to get that done first.
House Resolution 870 by Representative Burns of the 159th, a resolution relative to meetings and adjournments of the General Assembly and for other purposes. That concludes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 46th, the Majority Leader.
This is our adjournment resolution. We were unable to reach an agreement for the entire session as we like to try to do, but we've got it through day 11 that gets us through the House passing out the supplemental budget. Of course, today will be, day 4 of our session. We will be in adjournment tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for Martin Luther King Day. Next Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be having joint budget meetings, appropriations committees from the House and the Senate, to get briefed by the various executive branch agencies on the budget. We'll be back in session next Thursday, January 18th for day 5, next Friday for day 6. We'll take that weekend off and be back in again on Monday, January 22nd for 4 consecutive days on that week. That Friday, the House will be having their Green Door Committee meetings on the supplemental budget. We come back in on Monday, January 29th for day 11. And the way our Constitution reads is we will stay in consecutively from there on in until our 40 days expire unless we reach another adjournment resolution. I think that we will reach another resolution, hopefully by the time this one expires or sometime, the beginning of that week of Monday, January 22nd. We should be able to plot out the calendar for the remainder of the session. That's what I'm working towards doing, but I would be willing to answer any questions you may have about this, or I'll yield the well.
Are there any questions? Thank you, Senator. No questions. Is there objection to adoption of the resolution, the adjournment resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Chair recognizes Senator from the 10th.
Thank you, Mr. President, and members of this body. I rise to share with you an event tomorrow at the Capitol at 11:30 a.m. It's the annual Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. It's a celebration that has occurred for the last 25 years at this body, and I would like to personally invite each of you to join us tomorrow morning, 11:30 here at the state capitol as we honor Georgia's own Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 12th to recognize the Doctor of the Day.
Good morning again. My doctor of the day is truly my doctor, my personal physician, an individual that I have known since she was age 10. Dr. Stephanie Williams was my 6th grade student, and I couldn't be prouder of this individual, her medical contributions to rural Southwest Georgia, and those individuals that have such challenging healthcare needs. Academically gifted and talented, a model student, and an awesome human being, Dr. Williams is a graduate of the University of Georgia Undergraduate School. She received a medical doctorate from the Medical College of Georgia, and she completed her residency at the Southwest Georgia Family Residency Program and is board certified in family practice. I introduce to you my doctor, Dr. Stephanie Williams, to say good morning. And she's joined by her daughter, Allison.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it's an honor and a privilege to be here, to be Doctor of the Day. I'm accompanied by my daughter, Miss Allison Williams. She is enjoying a clinical shadowing experience today. We've already seen several patients, so we'll be getting back to the clinic. But I did want to take a moment to thank you all for your service as a Georgia citizen. I appreciate what you do for us as a Georgia physician. I appreciate the efforts that you wield every day to help Georgia doctors take care of our patients whom we truly love. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. We'd like to read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 584 by Senator Heath of the 31st and others, a resolution recognizing January 11, 2018 as Keeping Georgia Wild Day and for other purposes. That concludes
Is there
the order.
objection to the resolution? Hearing none, we move to adopt the resolution. Read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 585 by Senator Red of the 33rd and others, a resolution commending and congratulating Ruth M. Young on the occasion of her 95th birthday and for other purposes. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to the resolution? Hearing none, the resolution is adopted. Motions to withdraw or commit? Hearing none. I would ask the following senators to assemble in the governor's office as the escort committee. Senators from the 46th, 38th, 51st, 22nd, 9th, and 20th. If you would report to the governor's office for his escort committee. Recognize senator from the 56th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask unanimous consent to suspend the rules to read a committee report.
Is there objection to the unanimous consent to suspend the rules? Hearing none, rules are suspended. Read the report, please.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government Operations had under consideration the following legislation and instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 317, due pass, submitted by Senator Kirk of the 13th. That concludes the order.
No. Senator from North Fulton, you have an announcement.
We have a joint House and Senate Transportation Committee meeting today at noon in 506 in the LOB to hear an update on the 10-year transportation plan from Commissioner Russell McMurray. So I would urge you to attend. Thank you very much.
Senator from DeKalb, you have an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. You have on your desks an invitation to the first meeting of the Georgia Working Families Legislative Caucus. All members of the Senate are welcome to join us for a hot lunch and luncheon presentations on initiatives to take on behalf of Georgia's working families. We hope you will join us after the governor's speech today in room 307 of CLOB. You can hit the Transportation Committee and the Working Families Caucus with one trip to the LOB. Thank you so much.
Recognize the senator from the 46th, the Classic City.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move upon dissolution of the joint session pursuant to House Resolution 870. This Senate stand adjourned till 10 a.m. on Thursday, January the 18th.
All those in favor of adjournment? Thank the Lord, I was looking for you. Nays? We stand adjourned. Upon the dissolution of the adjourned session. Thank you. Thank you, baby.